pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How you doing?
Good evening, everyone. I'm very pleased to see you all here. The Eagle guy woke up. That's good. And he's ignoring me. That's even better. So, I'd like to announce that we met in the executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel. So, this is the voting meeting for the month, so everything has been discussed previously for the most part at the workshop, and I hope you're here to do that. But first, one of the pleasures in life that I have is recognizing our teachers or professional employees who reach various benchmarks. Tonight I have 4 of those employees who have become tenured. I see one. I have one in there. Do I have 2 in here? Or?
No, just one.
Just one. Those people are Nicole Mandel, Alexandria Dunkelberger, Ann Thomas, and finally Justin Black. And what this signifies is they have satisfied all of our requirements for being trustworthy with our children. And there's a very high standard. So I commend you, Mr. Black, and I congratulate you. And if you'll come forward, I'd like to give you your certificate.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thanks everybody for giving me a chance and believing me. And I love it. I love it.
I know you spent a long time as a long-term sub and a sub before that, so it's...
Yeah, we taught in this room right here. Not just that, but
Yeah.
feels good to be back. Welcome back, Potter.
Now, Miss Dr. Freeze, right in the report.
Good evening. It's been a quiet start to the school year. For the most part, we have 626 students at Rifton. It was interesting because at the start of the summer, I thought, well, we're going to have a low population this year, and we had 35 new students that had enrolled in Rifton over the summer. It has been a very long time since we have had a summer like that. And what was really interesting is pretty much we did not get those new enrollments until about 2 weeks before the school year started. And it was one after another, and at one point we had figured out that we were getting 2 new students an hour. And that, as I said, that was about a week and a half to 2 weeks before school started. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I had a new assistant principal, Maggie Wright, and I think everybody came and really wanted to see her. That was a good thing. But yeah, we have 626 kids, and in our 6th grade class, we had somewhere between 27 and 28 students in every class, which is amazing because last year we were averaging around 26, 27. So a lot of those 35 students were actually 6th graders. In terms of student achievement, we were very pleased with our PSSA scores, especially in reading. Now, if you remember many years back, we were in school improvement, and I always say to people that I think that that was one of the best things that ever happened to Rifton. And our teachers have worked extremely hard. Julie Klein has worked very hard. So has Karen Tamura and Karen Nunzio to help all of our teachers. And we made a lot of changes last year when we realized that the PSSA test was going to change, and those results paid off. All that hard work paid off. So I was very impressed with the scores in reading. We've got a ways to go in math, but even that was not bad for the start of a new test. We also started the year out with administrators, as well as Julie Klein, Karen D'Annunzio, the reading specialist, working with every teacher, and this was new this year, looking at their reading data and trying to find ways to improve kids, and kids, not just kids' results on tests, but just reading in general. That I think has really helped all of our teachers, and our teachers were very impressed with all of the data that was presented to them. Our math program went very well last year. We are going to continue to have professional development for our teachers this year for math, which I think should be very good. Heidi Rockland gave a presentation to our sixth grade parents about CPM. Last year when we met with our instructors for CPM that were helping us, they said one of the things that they noticed in their districts was that the first year they did a lot of good things for parents about CPM, and then their second year they didn't, because they thought that it was a new program. It was the second year program and people would understand. And the advice that they gave us was, at Reichton, CPM will always be new. So we did a college prep math presentation, Heidi Rockland did, and it seemed to go very well. There weren't many questions from the audience, and we're certainly looking forward to that this year as well. This will be our fourth cohort working with the Penn Literacy Program. And again, as I had said before in my other board reports, the big thing with that is to improve writing and to increase the amount of writing our students do in science and social studies, math, and language arts for that matter as well. So we're looking forward to our fourth cohort that we'll go through. Teacher observations. We have probably our largest number of teacher observations this year in terms of formal observations. I think we are going to be around 15, which is a little high, but it should go very well. The rest of the teachers all have differentiated supervision, and they will be working together for various things. In terms of programs and initiatives, I know I talked about these during the curriculum committee of the board, but we do have our anti-bullying pro-social committee who's working on our character counts campaign, and we're really looking forward to that. All of our teachers are going to get trained in anti-bullying, going to be trained with our anti-bullying program, and that is happening on Friday. We have a woman by the name of Crystal Rendell, someone that Dr. Davies knew, who's going to be working with our teachers, and we are going to have a series of 8 lessons that are going to be taught over the first semester of the school year, and working with kids on not just anti-bullying, but pro-social activities. And we're certainly looking forward to that. That's going to be done during times where we're not doing our response to intervention. So it will be a half-hour block that we'll be working with students. So we're looking forward to that this year. The other thing is we're looking at a possible schedule change, as I talked about again, and that is for 2016, 2017. We have a committee that's set to go over that. We have some ideas. We're just, again, in the process of just trying to figure out if this is something that we want to go to or not. As you may recall, we did work with Dr. Reddick in August. I'm sorry, not August. At the end of June, we worked with Dr. Reddick and came up with a few possible ideas. And now what we want to do is expand our committee, and we also want to bring that back to the teachers. And we'll tell you the initial response from teachers is they seem to like one of the ideas that we came up with over the summer, but we want to kind of work through that and see if that's what's right for Reichton. Our Learning Focus Collaborative meetings, again, those are going to take place during the early release days that we have throughout the year, and the focus again this year is going to be on reading and math. We're looking forward to a lot of good things. Last year, many of the teachers chose reading, math, and this year we're going to incorporate some of that as well. In terms of recent activities, upcoming events, we do have an author visit that's coming up. It's the first one we've ever had at Reichton, and it's being paid for solely by our APT, and it's a very famous author, or so I'm told, a man by the name of Gordon Corman, who is coming. He's quite prolific. They had a plethora of different authors to look at, but this one comes very well, what's the word I'm looking for?
Recommended.
Recommended, thank you. Very well recommended. And they are looking forward to them working with our students. He's going to work with a 5th grade group, then work with a 6th grade group. He's going to talk to our morning reading club in the morning, and then he is going to meet with a group of students, a select group of students, at lunchtime. So again, this is the first time we've ever done this. Our librarian is ecstatic. It was one that's a little bit more expensive than they had expected, but as I said, he comes highly recommended, so it should be a good thing. Dairy Queen Night is going to come at the end of September. We've never had one that late. Hopefully it won't be a cold night, but it should go very well. And then our holiday concerts, again, will be up at the high school. And last year we had record numbers, so we're looking for record numbers again.
Question.
Yes.
Where did all these kids come from in the last 2 weeks? Were they from
They
town?
came from all over the place. Several did come from Reading. There were a couple, I believe, from Boyertown. And to be honest with you, they keep coming. They really do. It's not that I have never seen anything like it, but I will say it's been maybe 7, 8, 9 years since we've had anything like this. And in the past when we've had them, we've had a lot of learning support students that have added. This is kind of an even number. Some are learning support, some are not. But yeah, there's a lot of it.
I know that Mrs. Haller had experienced the same thing at Lorraine, maybe siblings of some of the kids you registered. Dr. Schloffer, did you see that same trend at the end of the summer?
More so than ever before, yes.
Yeah. It seems to be a growing trend that kids move in and either they move in August or maybe the parents are just holding off on the registration process until August.
Greg, this 4th cohort that we go through the PLA
Yes.
training, is that your last one? When will the staff be trained, the whole staff?
That's a good question. When will the whole staff be trained? I would think, I don't know, what we're hearing is that there's like only 2 more years of this program. I guess the grant's going to run out,
Yeah.
which would really be a shame. I would say we're going to get close.
I would be really surprised that some of them pick up the phone.
So would I. It is outstanding. I went last year when Patty went to special ed. I had to pick up a little bit of that. So I went pretty much for a year and a half, and I just think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Whenever I go, I wish I was still teaching.
I had the opportunity to do it while I was still teaching, and that was my other question was in your walkthroughs. Are you starting to see those strategies?
I'll be honest with you, I saw them instantly.
Okay.
And the reason why I saw them instantly is the second cohort, we picked a teacher from each team that went. They then took it back to their teams, and during the learning focus meetings, they taught their teams what they were learning through this. So yes, and it's all over the place, and not only that, but we didn't send any learning support teachers, and I can tell you that I have had the opportunity to see this, see these strategies in every learning support program, which is just terrific. And last year, we did not send 5th grade teachers because they were all teaching math, so we sent the teachers that were not teaching math last year, the science and social studies teachers. And not only are they incorporating these strategies into their classes, but they were redoing all of their outlines, all of their tests, and they were getting together and working on them. Like all of the social studies teachers are working for common assessment. So it's, I can't say enough good things about it. I certainly can't say enough good things about Karen D'Annunzio and her work, because she's one of the teachers for the program, and she's phenomenal. It is, we're very lucky as a district to have her.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Do you know when Gordon Corman is going to be at the school? So could you come in and
Yes, yeah, when he's going to be here. I think,
you could,
I can email Bev.
Yeah, why don't you just send it to me and I'll send it out, Greg.
that would be nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's fine. When you know.
Is it this fall? Is it coming up soon, or?
Yes, I want to say it's November 13th.
Okay,
I'm 90% sure.
so it's sometime in November. Just confirm the date with me and I'll send that out to everybody.
Sure. Yeah, I have a list of all his books, and there's even a form that you can order his books if you like. Or not his books.
Any other questions? Thank you, Doctor. Now, Dr. Martin is going to give us a presentation on the golf tournament.
Very brief, yes. I'm going to walk and talk at the same time if I can manage it, because I have a little.
Just plain through.
Mrs. Kutcher, well, let me backtrack a second. I'm going to start out by saying that we have heard over the past few years from a lot of schools about all the efforts their staff members, whether it be professional, administrative staff, professional staff, or support staff, the efforts that people have made to secure funding by outreaching to the community, to local businesses, and so forth. And they've had a lot of success doing that. But I think that we haven't talked enough about our foundation. Our education foundation was established in 2008, I believe, somewhere in the 07-08 school year it was born. And it exists solely to support the school district. And it's run totally by volunteers. There's not a single person who makes a penny, from working on foundation endeavors. And one of the biggest fundraisers that the foundation has benefited the district has been the annual golf tournament. And Joe Staub, who used to be on the board of the foundation as well as the school board, until the schedule became so crazy that I don't even know how he's here tonight. It's probably a hologram of Joe. But anyway, he actually founded the golf tournament, and he was the first coordinator of the golf tournament when Joe could no longer do it. Nick Corbo took it over. When Nick could no longer do it, Carol Kutcher has been coordinating it. And it's a huge effort, and a lot of people work for months on pulling it all together. And it's always the first Friday in August every year. And it has steadily increased its membership, and we've increased the number of things that we do to raise money in connection with the golf tournament. The sponsors, the silent auction has generated a lot more donations and so forth. And we made, about $25,000 this year, and that all comes right back to the school district. In fact, I was trying to, between Ann and I, we were trying to piece together how much money the foundation has given to the school district over the past several years. And really, although one year I was not 100% sure of the exact amount, I didn't track it well enough, it's in the neighborhood of a little bit over $160,000, and that doesn't count whatever would be allocated to us this current year, because we don't know that yet. That hasn't been determined. But I'm hoping that with whatever we are allocated this year, that we can say that the foundation has given to the district over $200,000. So I'm hoping for more than $40,000 this year. You could tell. So anyway, we thought, Carol had the idea of, why don't we just show a couple of pictures from the golf tournament just to give the board a flavor for some of the things that happen on this day. And I got the big problem was trying to narrow down the pictures so this wasn't like a half-hour, slideshow. But I got it down to 3 minutes, and so you'll be able to see some familiar faces, because now, as it has grown, we have a lot of participation from among staff members. We have a teacher on the board, we have administrators who are very much involved in the golf tournament and in other functions that the foundation does. So hopefully I'll be able to give you just a little flavor for this 3 minute, we timed it exactly. My link isn't working, and it was working earlier today. for jazzy music. Golfers get lunch and dinner. Frank Lemaster was a former Eagle who was our celebrity guest golfer. Some of our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
All right, John.
That's probably, that's me. Is that 3 minutes of a billable hour there?
It's Frank Lemaster and John Artie. There. Frank posed with all the golfers. He's a big hit. See Ken Levan there, Nick Corbo, Dr. Schlopper, and Mr. Clam.
Oh,
That's a lot of handsome.
Almost too much in one picture, right? See our architect, Justin. And of course, Mr. McFarland. Oh, there is a handsome guy.
What do you think?
Nice.
I don't know why nobody's playing golf. Can't figure it out.
This was before and after. Moe's was one of our sponsors, gave away free burritos. More of our sponsors. Some of the food that was provided. We put this one in for Mike. Of course, the Kutchers and Hamid. Can't have an event without Hamid.
Jeffrey Strauss.
We have a golf ball drop, which the firefighters help us with. We make a couple $1,000s on that, more than a couple. That's it, folks. Thank you, thank you.
When you're selling like.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It may yet.
And you know we can stay home.
Carol, is that okay?
That was good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's
And general fund budget time.
Didn't we just do this?
it. How do you think she feels?
Do you want me to display it up there, or do you have it open? It is an attachment in your.
Remember when I was a kid, they were painting the Ben Franklin.
And it's just a general, you know, it's the first look
As
at
soon as you're
it.
done, you start over again.
Are you able to bring it up?
I can.
I don't have anybody in the audience.
I do have a couple printed copies.
You do to that. That broke it.
I just have a couple. Everybody else brought it up.
Well, we can all read what you
This is based on the state passing the budget, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't really matter. Just if we based anything on that,
That
we'd be in
situation
trouble.
just makes it very difficult.
Do we get any money?
All you're gonna do is all your
Like,
time.
figuring out what you're gonna do with the rest of their lives over there?
No.
Have we gotten any
Do
money?
they, no, I mean, certain things, they still have a continual flow of money that goes out.
If you're
I know what we
totally,
do for education.
Yeah.
I guess Chester Upland got some money because they couldn't pay their
Yeah,
staff.
about 6 million almost.
Yeah.
We
Right,
received
we're-
our property tax relief application, half of it. We typically get half in August. Because that comes from a different pool of funds.
That might be the problem.
But I did read today, and you probably may have seen it too, that they're going to be sending a stopgap budget through the Senate and then the House and then the governor
But
to
there's,
give some
there's
allocation.
no guarantee that he's gonna sign it.
That's
Right. Now, Ann, the index this year compared to last year,
The state index is 2.4%. The estimate of our adjusted index is 3.1%. PDE will publish that by September 30th for all school districts. The preliminary budget process is being moved up a month because the election is in April versus May, so it's all based upon the date of the election. So the preliminary budget, if the board decides to adopt one, that would have to take place on January 19th. And the timeline I've highlighted the dates that you would be most interested in. Do you want me to display it?
We're getting there. By the time Joe Schlaffer's picture goes viral, we'll have this thing.
You could just share
I can't believe it hasn't.
computers.
The adjusted 3.1 is the max ratio.
If that's, to stay within the index, that is our maximum, 3.1%.
There you go. Here we go.
By adopting a preliminary budget, the deadline would be January 19th, 2016. The board is able to apply for exceptions. The exceptions are what allows you to increase your millage by an amount above the index of 3.1%. Right now, I know we qualify for the special ed. I haven't calculated retirement because obviously we're just starting to build our budget. But a preliminary budget does not need to be adopted if the school board adopts a resolution not to raise taxes above the index. This would have to be adopted by December. This opt-out resolution could be adopted after we look at the preliminary budget, or the board has sufficient information to be certain that a budget can be funded based on maintaining current tax rates or increasing taxes by an amount less than or equal to the Act 1 index. But I think what's key here is that you have to have sufficient information. And to me, that you really have to look at the preliminary budget. So the dates that I've listed here, these administrators have received a drafted timeline. They'll get their guidelines tomorrow or Thursday if I complete them. So we've already started the process. It is 1 month earlier, so we will be looking either at a committee level or at a whole board level at the preliminary budget in November. And I feel it's important that you have that information in order to make a decision whether to adopt a resolution, to stay within the index, or to adopt a preliminary budget and apply for exceptions.
Are you going to have enough time to actually, well, obviously you have to do it, but I mean, how is that going to impact your time frame, your time allotment, or you get all that information together a month earlier?
Well, we just have to do it. What's really very difficult about constructing the preliminary budget, and it's going to be difficult for the proposed final, with the preliminary, we don't have a state budget.
Right.
But we also have 3 contracts and 1 compensation agreement that are expiring June 30th, 2016. So a lot of discussion is going to have to happen among the board, and a lot of assumptions are going to have to be made about what to include in the budget. So it's going to be challenging. But the pieces that come together, major maintenance, staffing, we have a timeline. We'll meet the timeline, and we will put the numbers together so the board can see a preliminary look and decide which direction to go in.
we've had this situation before where we had to do it a month earlier.
Mm-hmm. So,
Maybe presidential election.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Is that what you want?
basically all I wanted to provide, I have to work out with this function committee, you know, the timeline or the meeting dates. And then I will firm those up. But definitely in November, we do need to look at a budget. And, you know, the index is up from the prior year. It was 2.5% the prior year. So it's based upon the statewide average weekly wage and the employment cost index. So, and paging down that attachment that you have shows the calculation of the index, and 3.1% would generate about 0.98 mils or 1.3 million. So we're getting about 3.1% a mil of additional tax revenue.
So does the higher adjusted rate signify better economic environment?
It signifies that there's been, over the past couple of years, an increase in the employment cost index and the statewide average weekly wage, that there has been some movement upward in those categories.
So it's a better economy.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
fair quotes.
Right. We have a trend. I mean, we've gone from, you know, 9, 10, 5.2, then it went down to 1.8 and 11, 12, and 2.2, so now we're at 2.5.
Any other questions for me?
Oh, I did want to just confirm, last month we did speak about the PSERS payment, and it's on the agenda, it's included as approval. We were going to pay the full amount because for our cash flow, we are in good shape. But whether some school districts are, we've gotten guidance from PSERS that we're only required to pay the state share, the local share, excuse me, which is about half. But our cash flow situation at this point is fine. Obviously, if this budget impasse continues, we'll have to consider what we do in December. But I wanted to make sure that the board didn't have a change of heart, and we only want to do just 50% of the payment. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and do the whole payment.
And then at some point, we get the 50%.
Right, we will receive our reimbursement.
What about not paying the cyber charter bills? That's supposed to come from the state subsidy.
Some school districts are proposing to reduce the amount because they don't have the funds. But school districts that didn't pay their cyber charter, and the district did, the state deducted it from their property tax application. So they took it from wherever they could take it.
I thought it was supposed to be this, directly related to the state subsidy. It's just related to the
Boyertown
cost
gets all of their,
education.
they have the state take all of, deduct their charter school from their subsidies.
From their subsidy.
So all that was payable was property tax relief money, so the state deducted it from there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was pretty unbelievable.
It's an amazingly powerful lobby. It's just unbelievable what they can get done.
And
They get their money, no matter what.
there was a report about 180 school districts having their bond rating lowered.
Reduced, yeah, I saw that.
Through Moody's?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was mentioned last Friday at a meeting, and I haven't received any notification from PFM that ours.
We were not one of them.
Okay.
It was, they had a list on one of the legislative emails that comes around, the daily one, and they listed various school districts, but we, at least the ones I saw, we were not one of them.
Any in the area, or don't you?
It seemed to be, it was maybe more northern.
But
Those
if
are the last couple days.
it happens that we were, they'll notify me, then we have to disclose it on Emma.
wasn't sure why we would be.
Any other questions? Thank you. Now is the moment when the gallery gets to make any comments or ask any questions. Would anyone like to speak to the board? Seeing absolutely no reaction, we'll move forward.
Not even going.
Not even going.
Joe, go on.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
I can
Appreciate
talk.
it.
If you want me to talk, I can talk.
No, come on.
Joe, we're good.
Please.
Just give me the topic. I'll
Dr.
let you-
Schlaf.
All right, so moving on, we will have 2 sets of minutes to approve next. Oh, no, we are approving. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the August 11 workshop minutes.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the 11 August workshop meetings, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Now we'll move on to the August 18th voting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an additional consideration. We have a letter from the Exeter Township Board of Supervisors inviting us to participate in discussions regarding potential alternatives and possible solutions to the district's transportation center at Owatton Creek Elementary. I would request that I get an authorization from you all to respond in the affirmative and in fact start setting up a team to work with the township. Do I have
What do you
any-
want, a motion on?
No, we don't have to have a motion. I was just looking for.
Somebody to say go and do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking for someone to shake their head no, and no one did, so.
Well, wait.
All right, if I can get my computer moved. Okay, treasurer's report.
I move the treasurer's report as of August 2015.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report is approved. Business functions, Mr. Brady.
Yes, the first item we'll be considering tonight will be recommending to the Board of School Directors that we approve a sub-grant contract for implementation of the Individuals with Disability Education Act Part B between Berks County Intermediate Unit 14 grantee and Exeter Township School District, the sub-grantee or contract, for a total amount of $657,871.18. The project period of July 1st, 2015 through June 30th of 2016. Furthermore, the Board of School Directors authorized District Superintendent Beverly A. Martin, Education Doctorate, to execute the agreement. Prior year funding was $689,785.76.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the contract, please indicate so by saying
Aye.
opposed. Motion carries.
It is recommended the Board of School Directors Administration to accept a proposal from Conrad Siegel for consulting services related to the compliance with Section 6055 and 6056 employer reporting mandate under the Affordable Care Act. In early 2016, employers are required to complete the required government forms filings with respect to both individual and large employer mandates. The proposed consulting fee is $7,500, which includes all IRS filing requirements, employee notices, and guidance on tracking employee data.
Do I have a
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing Hearing none, all in favor of approving the contract with Mr. Siegel, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
It is recommended that the Board of School Directors authorizes district administration to advertise for bids for an Atira 300 kilogram, 8-step ADA compliant chairlift to be installed at the junior high school.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
Is the student at the school, in attendance at the school now?
Yes, but they're making accommodations there until we get the lift installed. They're making do.
Is this a new student that just came to the school district, or is it a student we've had in the school district for a while?
I'm not exactly sure.
Do you know?
He may have, Dr. Moore?
Student from Brighton that went to junior high. So we've never had this accommodation, a need for this accommodation.
We've never really needed this type of accommodation, but it has to be done at the junior high.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just surprised all these years we've managed.
Probably, well, Brighton is a newer school. I'm imagining that there was, I'm not sure exactly what the access issue is at the junior high, but I imagine the schools that child was in before didn't have those same issues.
He can go up and down the elevator. He has a motorized wheelchair, which he can operate very well.
Okay.
The last facilities meeting we had at the junior high, we were in the one room that they warned us would require a lift if a child ever started attending. And it was, it came in at a higher elevation than the floor level. So apparently it caught up with us. And that was how many years ago we were over there.
The only reason I asked if the child was a new student or if it was a child who had progressed through our system was, I wondered why we had not looked into this prior to the school's year starting, since we knew the student was obviously going to be moving from Brighton into the junior high this year. It was just a question.
I think it started late summer, and looking through the notes here, they just discovered they needed to have a greater capacity, replacing the existing lift with a similar lift. But we also discovered that even though this is a single source provider, we still have to bid it. So that's kind of stretching it out.
So we haven't currently, we just need something that's more substantial.
According to these, right,
okay.
the notes.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor of getting the lift, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Brady. Dr. Bender.
We're still going, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I started a few items. Still more money to spend. It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following Exeter Township School District employees to participate in the district procurement card program. Transaction limit will be $4,000. Marcy Elvin, Human Resources Supervisor, Margaret Wright, Assistant Principal, and Vicki Willier, Supervisor of Special Education.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
And how many employees do we have with the procurement clerk?
Right now, 37.
And what is the total amount of monies that they can buy things? I mean, $4,000, but the total of those 37. Is it 4,000 times 37? Is that?
That would be the transaction limit there. It varies. The superintendent, assistant superintendent, and myself may have higher thresholds if we ever needed to make a large purchase in an emergency, for example. So it really depends. And I don't have a grand total, but our purchases are in the range of $30,000 a month. And the people who use it the most are in facilities, maintenance, and transportation for repair or purchase of supplies for the buses.
So do we have any kind of things in place to make sure that everything is on the up and up? And because we've
Yes.
heard from other districts, I mean, that there have been, there has been people that
We have
fraud.
not only a policy, but we have procedures, and I will send out reminders. I just recently did set the procedures again to everyone and reminded them of certain things that they need to abide by. And I do review the transactions every month.
I was just wondering. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the issuance of the procurement cards, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
It is recommended the Board of School Directors approves the disposal of a 2004 GMC van that had 147,613 miles, which has been totaled by the district's auto insurer because of extensive damage sustained due to a collision in the bus parking lot. Insurance proceeds will be $9,725, less than $1,000 deductible, and the title to the van will be turned over to the insurance company. It is recommended the Board of School Directors authorizes district administration to purchase a school van to replace the 2004 GMC van that was totaled.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Are we, I have a question, Ann, are we going for a purchase, are we authorizing the purchase of a new van or just disposal?
I think I should have two motions there, sir. I
Right.
should have had one for
Should have been
disposal and then I should have one for purchase. But I'd like to divide that, the first one where we'll be disposing of it, attaining our $9,725 insurance proceed less than $1,000 deductible, and handing the title over to the insurance company as our first motion.
I'll second that.
And we have a second, motion and a second. We are voting on disposal of the total van. Is there any further discussion?
How did they have a collision in the bus area of the parking lot that totaled the van?
A driver, well, subsequent to the morning run, one of the drivers was departing, and she lost her brakes. They lost their brakes, and she drifted. There's an incline there, and the van was parked right in front of the office. So it's not a very big, long distance, but she drifted back into the van, and it was that extensive. The cost to repair it was close to $8,000. And that's about 81% of the average book value. Typically, they total at 60% according to our insurer. So that's why they totaled it. It was that
So it
damage.
was a bus that lost its brakes?
No, it was an employee's car. So when she was leaving, departing the bus lot, her brakes failed, and she went back, just rolled right back into the van. And the insurance, our insurer is seeking restitution from their insurance, but it was just a very basic level of insurance.
And her insurance is just very basic.
It would,
5,000 is the minimum in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm sure that's what she has. He has.
Wow.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving disposal of the unit, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
It is recommended the Board of School Directors authorizes district administration to purchase a school van to replace the 2004 GMC van that was totaled.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
And do you know what, first off, should there be a figure or a parameter as far as dollar amount there, or will that be a separate voting issue as far as what the cost?
we'll most likely use state contract, and we've made a couple recent purchases. It'll be around, they're going around $27,000.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving replacement of the van, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Breeder. Dr. Bender, personnel.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following retirement of Joshua Rang, Right and Learning Support
All in favor of approving the retirement, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the resignations in Part B, support staff and extracurricular staff.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the resignations, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve or ratify the following appointments listed under Part C, administrative staff, certificated staff, and certificated substitute teachers.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Betty, with Gina, she can come back and
Yes,
as a,
yes, in
retired.
an emergency situation.
that's great. Just didn't know they could do that.
Betty, were we able to procure someone with significant background replacement system?
Yes. Jennifer's coming to us from Conrad Weiser, where she's done the same position.
She was very great recommendation.
Yeah.
Also, children's home, she was there all the time. I'm really pleased.
We're thrilled.
That's great. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the certificated staff, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the substitute teachers section of the guest teachers list.
Second.
Motion, second discussion. All in favor of approving guest teachers, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the support staff listed and the extracurricular staff that are listed in the motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve or ratify the following leaves of absence listed under Part D, certificated staff and support staff.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the leaves of absence as printed, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve or ratify the following requests for a change of status listed in Part E for the support staff 1 through 5.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor of the shifts of status, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following staff conferences listed under Part F, number 1 through 19.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor of approving the staff conferences, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That completes personnel.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. Student functions, Ms. Fisher.
Item A, just reporting the field trips within the 60-mile radius. Item B, trying to get it here, I'm sorry. I move that the following field trips beyond the 60-mile radius be approved, one for the senior high, varsity and junior high varsity cheerleading teams to go to Disney World. And they are going to miss 1.5 days.
Have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of approving the cheerleaders going to Disney World, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Item 2, I move that the varsity lacrosse team be allowed to travel to South Carolina March 25th and 26th. Participate in spring training, and they will miss 2 days. Will also spend time in Washington, D.C., visiting the Washington Monument and Smithsonian.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Where in South Carolina?
I can find out in a minute. Hilton Head.
Oh, I can't. Oh,
Man,
I don't know about filling the log.
couldn't be Greenville?
Hey, if they're in Paris, I don't.
Greenville, I mean.
Any further discussion?
Who
Can I
was
go?
who was the chaperone? Parent chaperone, or does district have people? It's like a student paid function, right?
Mike's in the residence.
Yeah, I don't know who the coach is.
I was just wondering if we have a chaperone ratio.
Hilton Head is 1-to-1.
Oh, approximately 18 players and 3 coaches, athlete to coach ratio of 6-to-1. I don't know how many parents might be accompanying them as well, but it's 3 coaches. I don't know who the girls lacrosse coaches are. I should know.
Are you going to sign up?
There's a place for adults too.
Okay, any further discussion? Girls.
Who pays for that? Is that the?
They do.
It doesn't say girls.
No, it just says varsity.
That was just something like the boys.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the cross trip to the Smithsonian and to Hilton?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
I've never been to Hilton Head.
I have.
In the Native Americans,
I have to go check
Does
that out
that count?
myself.
Okay.
Thank you,
they
Marla.
can't because we told the kids they can't go to Washington.
Yes.
Those schools are legal.
I move that the Board of Directors approves the agreement between Exeter Township School District and Kids Peace National Center to provide private academic programming to disruptive and special education students for the 2015-16 school year at a rate of $156.83 per day.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Do we have kids already scheduled for this?
No,
No,
Kids Peace.
yeah, Kids Peace.
Yes, we have two students that are now.
2?
Further discussion?
Does that include transportation? No, I mean, so how do who transports them now?
To Kids Peace, I believe we do, we have various transportation providers, as our own, and then sometimes the IU does, but I think that's the one we provide transportation.
And so what's the cost for transportation per day?
That would have to be prorated depending on the run of the students, because sometimes Rick might have like Kids Peace kids on with 2 other smaller little private schools or other alternative schools, that kind of direction.
Or you don't know?
I don't know, it would have to be prorated.
They used the van that was told.
Pardon?
They used the van that was told.
Who knows?
I hope not.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the Kids Peace contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move that the Board of Directors approves the agreement between the Children's Home and Ray Day Academy and the Exeter Township School District to provide education and counseling services for district students in an alternative school environment for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $50 per day per student.
Second.
A motion, second discussion. All in favor of approving the contract with the boys home, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, that's a short one.
So what's up here? I move that the Board of Directors approves the contract between the Exeter Township School District and Bayada Home Health Care, Inc. to provide basic nursing care to students for the 2015-16 school year at a rate of $47 per hour.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
So, who do they provide services to? I mean, don't we have nurses in our schools?
Excuse me?
Don't we have nurses already in our schools?
We do. I described at last week's meeting, some of our students moved from Owatin Creek to Brighton, from Mrs. Moore's class to Mrs. Sprott's class are multi-disabled life skill students. And 3 of the students who moved up all had seizure disorders. And we were kind of in this middle time where our new nurse we were hiring, coming over from Yandel to Brighton, she wasn't being fully released. This is all when the school year was starting. And so we were only going to have a nurse actually in the building for 4 hours a day while they were releasing her. And we had the students coming in who had seizure disorders. And so we wanted to start the month with a nurse in the room to make sure the transition went very well. The good news is I believe the nurse for the building was released a little earlier.
This is a temporary measure.
This is temporary. This is just for a month until we have the transition. The new nurse got on board and they all got to know the students and what their needs were.
Oh, so this isn't.
And these students have had seizures at Owatin. Our nurse up there has done a beautiful job with.
So then this is not.
No, this is just temporary. This is just temporary until we get through this month. And we're also trying to find aides to fill some positions, and we're still looking very hard for aides to even interview. So,
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the nursing care, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Reporting that Sarah Ramsey Senior has been given permission to attend the Exeter Township School, Senior High School as a non-resident student for the 2015 school year, 15-16 school year, according to our policy 202. Was she a student here? And I do have a question. I read somewhere about issues with the school providing transportation for students who are living in 2 houses in the school district, and that they were going to be, we were going to be required to pick them up down to 2 different addresses. Even school law, I saw it. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, that's a Supreme Court case that just came down, but it really affirmed a lower court case that had provided that both parents had 50% custody. Each parent had 50% custody of the child, busing to 2 different residences in one municipality.
Do we have anyone in that situation?
I don't know off the top of my head. There are a lot of child care situations. I'd have to find out on that.
Well, it just struck me as being potentially dangerous. This is the best way I can say it. And I was just surprised, that's all. So, if it's not an issue, then I won't worry about it. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodwin. Election of PSBA officers. Does the secretary have a list of that?
They're listed here.
Oh,
We have to
okay.
select one of them.
I accept the nomination for PSBA president-elect.
Russ?
Oh, Mary Burks.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor of voting Mary Burks as the president-elect of PSBA, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. PSBA vice president.
I'll nominate John Love from Exeter Township.
Second?
Motion and second from John Love. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, closing the nominees for Vice President. All in favor of electing John Love, or voting for John Love as PSBA Vice President, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll accept nominations for at-large Representative East.
I nominate Michael Melnick.
Second.
I have a nomination and a second from Michael Melnick. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, consider the nominations closed. All in favor of Michael Melnick as the at-large Representative East, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That closes the election process. Moving on to curriculum and programs. Mr. Teasley.
No report.
Curriculum Committee.
We did not meet last month in deference to conducting interviews. Our next meeting will be October 6th at here at 6:00.
Sir. Technology.
No report.
BCIU. BCIU is really broke. Since they have no taxing authority, they get all their money from the state or the feds. Currently, they are working on a $10 million line of credit, which they estimate may last in the worst situation until October, and in the best situation until December. So they have opted not to pay their Peaser's bill. They've been threatened with a 6% interest on such bill, but they all counting on the fact that the governor said he was going to pay any interest fees. They really don't have the money to pay it anyway. So any early payments of those monies due to them will be gladly accepted. Carl smiled at that.
Mr. Porter, they also asked to have a grace period in paying their health insurance premium. They asked that of the trust.
We asked that the other night, and since they have a surplus of money in their health, did they get it?
Yeah, they went.
The exemption?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're not paying their rent at various places around town. But I don't feel too bad for them. But that's the state of the BCIU. Athletic Committee, Mr. Staub.
Some results year to date. The football team's 2-0, and we're at home this Friday against Garden Spot. Girls tennis is 7-0, 4-0 in the league, and they have a very good chance of going very far in the state this year. Field hockey is 2-2 and beating Governor Mifflin 5-2 with about 17 minutes to go tonight. So that's live news. The boys soccer team is 2-2 and 1-0 in the league. Girls volleyball is 3-0, which is amazing considering what four or five of the girls from last year went on and have scholarships, which is fantastic. Both boys and girls across the country are at 2-0. And our golf, first time ever for Exeter, our girls were in competition. Where there was a tournament, 4 or 5 schools, and we had 7 girls compete. So that was nice. Mr. Hadley was, we've talked about it, that if it would continue along those lines, we would need to look to possibly have girls compete. So picking up additional membership there. And that's all the sports news. It's fit to print.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Legislative liaison, township liaison, nothing. We already did that, I'm sorry. Got carried away. Public relations, Mr. Kramer.
I'd just like to report that the parent forum that was scheduled for September 29th is being rescheduled for Wednesday, October 14th, because we thought it would be beneficial to offer to the parents some information and try to answer any questions about the PSSA results. And we wanted to make sure parents had them before we made that offer, so
And I see that they are sitting in my office in boxes.
they arrived yesterday.
Yes.
And what was the date, the rescheduled date?
We're rescheduling till Wednesday, October 14th at Rifton at 6:30. And we've changed it on the website, but we'll get more information out.
Thank you, sir.
Is anybody gonna talk about a new schedule?
PCTC, Mr. Deasy.
Actually, we had a good start to the school year, and things are looking up. No bus accidents.
Facilities, Mr. Brady.
Last Wednesday, we had a very good meeting of our committee. We had roughly around 15 people in attendance, plus minus, composed of both administration and also community members. Within that meeting, we discussed things such as the improvements that happened over the summertime, which included the new scoreboard. You're welcome. And for those who were with us on the first night of the season, for the football season, it was a great opening, cutting of the ribbon, and Howard was there, thanking him for his contributions to the school district, in addition to many other things he's given to us over the past several years. He's a great gentleman and a great businessman now in the area. In addition to that, over the summertime, we did painting of a railing in the facilities there in the track. It was improved. We made upgrades there. We also did other improvements. One of the discussions we had for the evening is the potential of bringing in a consultant to review all of our facilities, all of our buildings, look for a 10-year program for potential upgrades and modifications that would be required, and to look at as an overall view beyond where Mr. Pitts usually looks at more of the immediate and the accountables. They would look at more of a vision. For instance, what we would need to do for enhancing our security of various buildings, where we should be looking at remodeling buildings to bring them more into the 21st century. A number of our buildings have not been touched for a few years, so they will be looking at the overall plan going forward. During that time, Mr. Pitts highlighted how many years it usually is between improvements for a building, and I think we're about 10 years beyond that typically, because we're very conservative, which is good. So that'll be coming up in the future. We'll discuss that a little bit more. And we capped off the night a little bit by discussing the progress on the bus facility discussions with the township. As Mr. Quinter mentioned, we'll be having more conversations with the township to look at alternate locations and other ways we can go about this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Audit payment request, Mrs. O'Brien Peace.
How about the audit committee?
Say again?
The audit committee?
I said audit and payment request.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I was trying to kill two birds with one stone.
Oh, thank you. We're going to be trying to get the audit committee together for, we're shooting for maybe October, the first week in October. And is working with Chris Herr, who is on vacation this week, but we're going to try to get him and the two other members of the community that are on the audit committee. And we will be inviting the board, to come, of course, to hear the audit, and listen to what their recommendations might be, or how well we're doing, or what whatever. Now, for our yellow pink slip here, I asked you to pay our bills, and they included total payments from the general fund of $2,937,259.08. From the capital account, $21,103.77. And from the 2014 Capital Project Fund, $2,402.40. And for Wanton Creek Elementary School, $2,930.85. So I move that we pay our bills.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just wanted to, maybe you can look at all the charter school tuitions that we have to pay at the beginning of this year. And I don't know if you had seen, but Washington State, the Supreme Court in Washington State ruled that according to the Washington State's state constitution, charter schools were unlawful. So, I mean, I've been an advocate of it, thinking that I think the way our Pennsylvania Constitution is written, that it too seems to be unlawful to me. And I would hope that maybe we would have our either PSBA or PSEA or a citizens group bring that forward to see, especially once we get the elections over with, because there are 3 new Supreme Court justices to be sitting on the court after the November election.
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting because the Washington Supreme Court basically decided that charter schools, not being for the common good, do not meet the definition of a public school.
But what if in your condition, the charter school actually is the only avenue for a child to get a quality education, such as some of the cities of our...
I hate to cut the conversation short, but the motion on the table is to pay the bills. And that has nothing to do with Washington State. I'll gladly converse about Washington State later on. But any further comments on paying the bills? Hearing none. All in favor of paying the bills, which are not on pink pages on your computers, but it is the same information. Please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We can pay the bills. Is there any further comment on the payment reports or audit committee? Superintendent's report, Dr. Martin.
Thank you. First of all, a big thank you and congratulations for a great start to the school year from all of our great staff members who make everything possible here and the great kids that we serve. It's been just a tremendous start to the year at all levels. Our administrators have done a wonderful job over the summer in preparing, and our teachers and support staff are doing a terrific job to get the year off to a great foot, and continue to be amazed at how much work and effort and teamwork goes into pulling this off. And I'm very grateful that we have such a wonderful staff to work with here, and that's what makes Exeter. And so congrats to everybody. On another less happy note, a couple weeks ago, speaking of charter schools, or specifically cyber charter schools, a couple weeks ago I emailed the board about something I learned about. I'm sure you all read the email. I think I heard from I sent it to the legislators as well. About an experience that one of our staff members had when attending a Reading Phils game, or Fightin' Phils, whatever they're called. Well, they changed the name a few years ago, right? So anyway, very nice family experience, but this was in mid-August, and in appealing to families, this particular event was sponsored by one of the cyber charter schools. This is a show and tell tonight, by the way. This is PA Leadership Charter School, a cyber charter school, tuition free. Therein is the first lie. It is not tuition free. It may be tuition free to the parents who send their children there, but it's not even that, because the taxpayers pay the bill. So there is no such thing as free tuition. Somebody has to pay for the education, and somebody has to pay for these little backpacks that they gave out to every single person who came to the Fightin' Phils game that day. And the backpacks were loaded with all kinds of goodies, all of which were advertised. I don't even know what the heck this is. All of which. There you go. There you go. Okay.
It was $10
because everybody needs one of these.
New Year's Eve.
And PA Leadership Charter School with their website.
on it. And sunglasses, also with their website along the side. Now, this school calls itself a public school. Now, which public school has a promotional advertising budget that can give out a yo-yo, a pen, sunglasses, one of these things, and this lovely bag, plus all their promotional, plus they did the fireworks for this event. Plus they had a table set up at the stadium ready to register students and giving out materials to entice parents to sign up your kids. It's free. I can imagine that if we had an event in Exeter and we gave out, let's say, this pen to every person who came to the event, we would hear about it from the citizens, because our promotional advertising line item, our budget is 0, which it should be. And if you call yourself a public school and you say you're not in it for profit, and yet you could give out this and you could sponsor fireworks at an event like this, and you could be there a week before school opens, ready to sign up any students, and then put lies on the materials that you circulate saying that you're tuition free, which you are not tuition free. We get the tuition bill, which is paid by the taxpayers of Exeter Township and the taxpayers of all the other school districts that they draw students from. So, as I said, I had emailed the board about this, and I had emailed our legislators as well, but there's nothing like a little show and tell to drive the point home, and I think this is reprehensible. So that's the end.
John, can we use that as a modification to our contract with the, so that we don't have to pay?
Yeah.
Since it says free tuition, that means we should have to pay.
Well, you know, the Berks County superintendents are going to Harrisburg at the end of October and meeting with the various legislators and constituents or their people that work for them. And I'm going to take this for show and tell.
Good. Are you going to say something about my ceremony?
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, they had a wonderful 9/11 ceremony commemorating the event in a very nice, meaningful, touching way at the high school last Friday. It was last Friday, wasn't it? And Bob Quinner participated. There were board members present. And Mike was there. Who else was there? Ross was there, that's right. And all the students were there and some members of the community. It was just a really, really nice event. And several of our teachers spoke, and were honored in the ceremony. Some of our police officers and firefighters were honored as first responders, representing first responders in that event. And it was just really, really well done. The guys at the high school did a great job organizing it. Mr. McFarland, Mr. Dean, Mr. Kane, they did a really, really nice job. And it's a really nice event. And it seems like it's going to be an annual event. If you have time next year, and I'm sure it'll be an annual event, please stop by and see it. It's a good way to start the day. It really is.
It was covered very nicely in the Reading Eagle on Saturday.
Yeah, it was covered nicely in the Reading Eagle. Thank you for reminding me of that, Russ. Oh, okay. We can do that now if you want to.
Mr. Dahl had came before the board at the last meeting asking about a stop being set up for the 36th and right in kind of weather days. And we discussed it with Rick Wakeman, and first of all, we wouldn't just set up anything temporary. If the board wishes to transport walkers, then they would be assigned to a route, and could use it on a daily basis if they chose to do so. But at the same time, there are about 60, I don't have the exact number, of walkers on around Dunham Drive. So, in all fairness, you would have to open it up to all of them going to Rifton, because you really just can't do it for one street and not another. So it's really up to the board. And years ago, it was decided, the board had decided not to those that walk on Dunham would walk.
Mr. Wakeman,
His recommendation really is if you're going to offer it to one area, then you really need to offer it to that whole group, because then that would be the expectation of families. And is there room on the bus? Yes, there's room on the bus. We would have to add several stops.
Does anyone have?
What do you think, Mr. Wayman, say about the current capacity of buses?
He said there would be room on the bus for,
There is room.
right, and the number of buses come, Dunham Drive obviously, that's where the population is. Several buses come through there, so there would be at least 3 off the top of his head, additional stops would be added to accommodate those students.
The request was made to us with respect to inclement weather. So it occurred to me, how do you define that?
Right.
But I thought delayed schedule is one way to a very clear-cut communication. I mean, if we wanted a bus, we bus on those days where there was delayed schedule, which everyone would then know it's serious enough not to walk in the streets.
Well, his recommendation is not to just do it on an occasional basis, because he needs to
If somebody standing there, you stop.
I think for security and safety reasons, he would want to know exactly who's assigned.
Consistent knowledge of who's going, who's assigned to that bus.
And I would recommend that he looks into it, looks at his pattern, see if it changes the routes, what the dollars are, and if it makes sense, then we talk about it. I would have him actually look at it and say, this is what we would do, this is what it would be, and then you can make your decision, because I think he needs to provide that information.
Well, it seems to me what we're talking about is busing everything. That's what we're saying.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
It wouldn't be 7, 8.
There wouldn't be any more
senior high.
walkers. We would be busing everybody.
And I can envision the next meeting we have, we'll have people from the community who do not have children schools for gas bar buses, everyone who lives 1 block away from the school. Because it's typically a 1-mile process. And I understand, and I completely appreciate when the parent mentions, it's a snowy day and a child has to walk through, areas that people don't shovel, but that probably would be something where you would contact the township to note to them that it's not shoveled, because there is a 24-hour shoveling requirement in this township.
But that does nothing to enhance the safety of the child. So contacting the township is bullshit.
But the parent mentioned to us the only concern he has is on snowy and icy days. And if it's a snowy, icy day, that's something the township should be in charge of, not the school district.
And our children go to school 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8:30 in the morning. So the 24-hour period does not apply. So I think Joe's.
I just want to know, because I think if we're going to do this, we need to do away with the walking distance, and we need to offer busing to everyone.
Well, the point was made, there was 0.9 cents a mile. Now, the Dunham Drive people are right there. Now, how far is it from Dunham Drive to the high school, which would be the collateral concern? And nobody's talking about going from 35th Street to the high school or 35th Street to the junior high. This is Dunham, which is 0.9 cents a mile. I know we do, not Dunham,
Person.
Right.
I know we do bus people who live along Gibraltar Road, which again is not a mile away. But we made that decision years ago when we built Brighton.
Oh, I thought that was a sidewalk decision.
It was a sidewalk
Yeah.
issue, that's right. So, I think Joe's recommendation is valid. Does anybody have any different ideas?
Bob, just to be clear then, it's actually not a state rule, it's a board decision. Because I know that we've had this discussion years ago when my kids walked, and we were always told it was a state rule.
The state rule is we will not be reimbursed for anything less than a mile. We can transport less than a mile at our discretion and our expense.
Actually, like
And
the state,
isn't
the
it more
state,
than a mile for?
the state rule
for
permits you to,
secondary or?
to adopt a policy where you don't have to bus anybody for 2 miles.
Well, it varies according to junior high, senior high, elementary.
Right, well, I'm saying, but actually,
Yeah.
it's our decision, there are just parameters set upon us by the state.
Right.
Anything else to come before the board?
Is Mr. Mosley consulting this issue?
I'm just looking at 1361 because that does address the issue. But as Russell said, we have the discretion to bus or not to bus. Excuse me, losing my voice here. That's the first question. We have
Is it
chosen
1
to
mile
bus
or
what
2
we-
mile, Mr. Mosley? Is it 1 mile or 2 mile?
The provision, I'm taking a look here, so what we have.
Well, if we have the discretion.
I thought it was max of 2 miles. So that's the only discretion you have. You can't make them walk further than 2 miles.
Unless it's an unsafe route.
But I mean, if it
Well, that's
was
another
100
that's
yards,
all
we would have the
double
discretion to drive them 100 yards if we wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah, my thought is that if we're going to do it, then we have to make sure we can do it for everyone. And then the question arises, do you have the open seats for everyone? Or in fact, are we going to have to put an extra bus?
So everyone 5 through 12? Even the second?
Well, the only thing you're talking about is East Wright and
Right.
then Country Club Stage, 'cause that's the only,
Right,
the
there's only
Dunn
2
Drive
buses
section of
already.
Country Club.
Okay.
So it's all
yeah,
over
so isn't
that
that?
campus.
I'm so confused. I used to walk to school myself. 5 miles uphill both ways.
In the snow and the rain on the same day.
They used to make us walk. Anything else to be discussed? How about the Supreme Court of Washington gave a opinion
They did.
that charter schools were not an appropriate
Right. They did not
expense
definition of public
Yeah.
education. Public education.
I move to adjourn.
Bob, I've been trying for
I have
3
a
years
motion
get
to
the school
adjourn.
board association to do this.
We are adjourned.